So, Tasha, how do we support adolescents who seem to have lost their compass and appear listless?
Ooh, this this unfortunately is really a story that's happened in so many families. Um, and and I guess, if you are the parent that is worried for your young person, and your gut is saying they're just not the same person that they were before this started. I would acknowledge your concern and worry, and also at the same time hold out some expectations that and remind yourself that things do get better. So you as a parent may reach out, talk to other parents, or get some professional support to make sense of what's going on. But I think always, um, we want to be honest with our kids too, if we have concerns about them, right? So we can come from a place of, like, you seem to have lost your mojo. Yeah, these are the things that I'm kind of noticing, and I don't want to make assumptions about what's going on for you, what you're thinking and how you're feeling, but I have seen a change in your behavior, or I've noticed more of this activity in your life that usually is a sign that things aren't going so great. Are you open to talking a little bit about what's going on, and seeing if we can solve this together? So I think that there's a place to maybe kind of open the door through invitation to possibly have a conversation to see if they're at a place where they're open to and curious about getting some support. Um, and and so I know through the pandemic, I actually have had more parent consultations, because young people do not want to get help, but parents are like, I need to get help because I'm pretty sure that what's going on isn't okay. And so know that families can change when one person goes and talks to their family doctor or therapist or someone that's a trusted other, that it's okay to get your views validated, and get pumped up with, like, this is what I have some control over and this is what I don't, and change can spark from one person. um, and for lots of young people, it's a place of really validating what they are feeling. The truth is, for many of them, it sort of feels like, well, I just don't know what the point is anymore, right? And so to say, oh, come on, and try to drag them over to the bright side it would be super annoying, and it's not going to be helpful. And so maybe there's a place to reflect on, think back to when you were younger, and what were those things that might seem really far away now that did sort of light you up, that you had energy to do, that you were excited to hop out of bed on a Saturday morning and get busy with. Because often the things that we naturally had tendencies to lean towards when we were younger or at happier times in our life, there's there's something there that we want to dig into. And so is there a way to revisit some of that stuff or offer it to other people? So maybe that place of, I know I love drawing, it's something that I haven't done for so long. Maybe I join in with a group of other teens that are doing a drawing class, or maybe I take my sketch pad to the park and draw some pictures, or volunteer at an art camp and help maybe other kids that have lost their way kind of get inspired, and maybe that sparks kind of a passion that has fizzled out for me. But um it's a slow process to rekindle passions, right? And it was a slow process to get to where we are right now, where the flame feels like it might have been a roaring fire, and now it's like little coals that were like, like, come on, well, let's get this going. But always know it's kind of in human spirit through time that we, I'm gonna say crawl out of the womb, but it's not quite that pretty. Or learn to walk, and take our driving test and fail it, and then take it again, and try dating even though we know we might get burned. Because we always have this sort of push to propel ourselves to getting better. And so there's a place to kind of remind young people of that too. Like, where you are now is not going to be where you are forever. And for us as parents too, to remind ourselves, where my kids are right now, this is not where they're going to be forever. And maybe I need to be the beacon of hope that holds the expectation for them to do a little bit more, because that's one of the things that we really know about human behavior is people live up to the expectations we set for them. And so we don't want to make it too low and have our kids live up to that expectation. I think we're at a place now where we actually have to notch it up a little bit and actually, nope, I'm not expecting you to jump up to something that's not attainable, but I actually have faith that you're more capable than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah, some great insights there.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the ideas you have, Teresa?
Tasha, I love that you're saying that parents are coming to you and that parents are saying, like, I've got this kid and I just don't know what to do because I know they need help, but they're not, they're not in a place where they want the help yet. And I think there's something about that sometimes that for parents can be really, it can sort of pull them into this sense of, I have to fix it. I have to do something that's going to make it right. I have to be the one to make it right. And I think that's not really what it's about. That's not what being a parent is about. And I always think it's helpful to be able to come from a place of belief. So to come from a place of belief, not that this is your favorite situation or that this is the best situation or that you're enjoying it in any way, but that there's some belief that this place that your young person is in is here for a reason. This happened for a reason. They didn't just pull this out of the dark. It's not just happening out of nowhere. But actually there's something that's driving this. Because of that, this is something that they need to work on, that they actually need to address, and that they will one day figure out, right? And it's having that confidence and that belief that all the things that you've done up until now, after you birthed them out of the womb, after you did all those great parenting things early, and you read them all the books and you took them onto all the preschool, took them to the dentist and got them all the checkups and you did all that good stuff. All of the things that you've done up until this point have gotten them to a place where they have the skills. It can happen, but it's them really in the end who has to do it. At the same time, if you're going to be their person, the person who's going to be the one who's there for them and with them, some of what it looks like sometimes is sitting next to them. Some of what it looks like sometimes is going to someone and saying, I need some tools. I need some suggestions or some help, just like what you're saying, Tasha. But ultimately, truly having that perspective and belief, especially when you have a kind of listless kid, that belief that you have, that they have what they need and they will get there, is something that if if their confidence has gone on vacation for a bit, your confidence then is going to step in and say, no, it's there. It might be, on vacation, it might be, taking a break, but it will come back. You will see it come back, and be able to, acknowledge that, but at the same time, not be responsible for it. The other piece is I think there's a neat, sort of trick question. It's that question of when is it okay as a parent to worry about the worry? When is it okay? And I think it's sort of like, I always offer that trick question because the answer is never. It's never. What happens with anxiety is if you can picture, it's like this big tornado that's rushing around and around and around. Maybe it's, enveloped your young person, it sucked your young person in. If what happens is that you go, okay, I'm going to dive into the tornado, then we've got nobody who's on solid ground. We've got nobody who's saying, no, that's the tornado over there. So I think too, what you can do is in the not worrying is the regulation of yourself. So grounding yourself, realizing that your loved one is in a tornado, and being able to still say to yourself, you know what, they're in a tornado, but I'm going to be here and I'm going to stay calm and I'm going to think clearly about what needs to happen next, because you're going to recognize that because they're in the tornado, they are not thinking clearly. They are not going to be able to problem solve, make great decisions, and do all of the things that you really want them to be able to do. So one of you has to have that toe out of there. The last thing I would say is that sometimes what you got to do, you just got to fake it. You just got to absolutely fake it until you can make it. And I think when you're feeling really down, Tasha, I heard that in some of the things you were saying. You were talking about, is there a place that you can go to that the place itself might, shift you, or, you might be able to imagine yourself being another way. That's what I'm talking about. That's that fake it. It's like, you don't really feel it. you're not real into it. You once were into it, but you're not anymore. But you say to yourself, I'm going to go there and see what effect it has on me. Because sometimes what happens is that our bodies shift when we least expect it. And I think there's lots of good research, especially when it comes to nature. If you go out into nature, there's a lot of good research that suggests that just going out there changes some things that could be really beneficial.